So, hey guys, we're going to recap Parenthood, Season 6, Episode 7, called These Are the Times We Live In. So the main thing that happened in this episode was Julia. And the hashtag Fight for Julia is trending everywhere because, oh my goodness, this needs to happen. So we start out in the lawyer's office and we're like, hey, how should we split up the house? So we realize that Julia is filed for divorce, the papers are going through, negotiations are going on, and Joel's like, I want you to have the house, and Julia's like, oh no, it's totally rational to split it 50-50. And this kind of continues outside of the room too. She goes over to his house and she's like, well, it's fair if we sell it and split it 50-50. I mean, that's, how we're going to split this asset. And Joel's like, the house is not an asset to me. The house is a symbol of our marriage and our life together. It's where our kids grew up. It has emotional meaning for us when we first moved in and we just had nothing and it was just us. So it's really bringing back a lot of memories and it's bringing back a lot of emotion, which is a really good strategy, I think, in writing, is to make this very symbolic and very abstract rather than this is our house, we're splitting it up. Step one is this, step one is this. It's like we bring out all the symbols and we bring out all the emotions, and then it culminates in the end of the episode. And, in the elevator after their negotiations, they held hands and Julia started crying and he kissed her forehead and it was like this really nice moment, but it was fleeting, it was just that. She left afterward and she was like, okay, that was goodbye. When I held his hand and I cried for 2 seconds, that's all the emotion I'm showing. Because then this is an asset now. Everything's an asset in a divorce. And divorce people will tell you, yes, but, this is Joel and Julia, and so we're going to make this emotional. Emotional moment continues when Joel goes to his father-in-law, Zeke, and he says, this is me telling you goodbye, and we got a really nice story that he never had a real role model growing up, which was interesting because we never really find out what happened with Joel's parents. We don't know anything about them, but you know what? We know that Zeke and Joel were not the best of companions when he first started seeing Julia, and so it's nice to kind of get that, oh yeah, I've really looked up to Zeke and I'm saying goodbye. Zeke, so important. This scene made everybody cry. So Zeke said, hey, look at me. You love your kids, you love your wife, then you fight for them. Don't leave, you fight for them. Oh my gosh, and Joel, his eyes are so red. This actor is great, Sam is fantastic. And so he goes over there, and he knocks on her door and says, Julia, last season you asked me to fight, and I didn't fight. And now I am. I want our marriage to work, I want to fight for you. And Julia's left standing there like, I don't know what to say. And the reason is because she's been really emotional. She's kind of gotten into that this isn't rational, this is emotional, as she's looking at her divorce papers. And then not Joel comes knocking on her door and he's like, hey, we had a date. And so she invites not Joel in, and they have a glass of wine together, and he's, very suggestive. If I finish this, I'll have to stay the night. And she's like, good idea, leave. So not Joel leaves. Because, he's not Joel, so he's not the person that she wants to comfort her when she's sad. She wants Joel. That's her husband. You are not Joel. Your nickname suits you. So she's standing there in the doorway, and we don't know what her answer is. Everyone's praying, yes, Julia, give your marriage another chance, but we'll have to wait till next week, because in the promo, it does not give us any clues as to her answer. So, supplementing storylines. You got the craziness at the Bravemans' house, because Adam and Christina are out fundraising for Chambers Academy, so Amber is the babysitter, which is good because Amber needs the practice. However, Max and Nora are crazy kids. You got Max with his Asperger's, and you got Nora hiding the keys, and, freaks out every time she doesn't sleep in the bed with Amber. And, she's like a 4-year-old, so obviously she's a handful. Leaving these two alone with Amber is a huge deal, and so, that it's not going to work out right. They miss the boat to Alcatraz, they screw up the entire day, which causes Max to do his pacing. He's like, I'm very upset, this didn't go my way, this plan didn't work out, and it's very upsetting. Luckily, Sarah comes over. Sarah has been saying, this is a really big deal, and it's going to be scary doing this all alone, and I know how hard it is. And so Amber's very much internalizing this the entire episode, but it's nice to have at the end Sarah saying, hey, you're not alone, and hey, you can do this. because he doesn't know how to handle it, and he doesn't know what he's supposed to do because of the social situations and his Asperger's. And so he and Max are both pacing. You got the parallel pacing going on. And they're both like, oh yeah, I feel very isolated, and this is why this is happening to me, and Dr. Pelican says this. And so it's really interesting to see how they're both kind of both of their stories are culminating, and how both are kind of realizing their own characters. Max in high school, and Hank in a relationship and with a child, and kind of an adult situation. So it's interesting to see both of those, but overlapping. So Hank goes to his ex-wife, and he admits to her that he has Asperger's, and it's very hard for him to do, but it eventually lends itself to family bonding and having better understanding, better communications with everybody, which actually works out in the end. They're bonding over these crazy ice cream story. Zeke is, before he talks to Joel, he is trying to bond with his grandson, Drew, who is in college studying for econ, and he has so much work to do because he's now declared a major, because he wants to make money, he wants to take care of his sister, and he says, this is my job. He's taking it very serious. He's a very serious kid. And, his grandfather is like, hey, let's go drive 3 hours to get a burger, or hey, let's go drive 5 hours to go shoot some cream corn. And so at first Drew's like, he's crazy. But then his girlfriend opens his eyes to the fact that he wants to have memories with his grandson, because this whole surgery thing is making him very time sensitive and very live in the moment. So he's, planning all these elaborate things, and he's being kind of secretive about it, and like, no, this is urgent, this needs to happen now. We're gonna have a good time. Which is kind of Zeke. And we learn, Drew's views on guns, and he doesn't like it, and he doesn't like wasting time, so it's kind of a clash of characters. You got Zeke and you got Drew, completely polar opposites. But they end up bonding by the end of the episode, because they actually do go to a shooting range and they shoot creamed corn. So next week we head back to Chambers Academy and do stuff with Max and his girl Dylan. Hopefully we get an answer for Jolia, and we continue with the Zeke story. And hopefully Amber is going to be okay, because we got a scare next week with her pregnancy, and man, is she looking huge. But yeah, next week we'll see all of these things continuing. Final season of Parenthood. Let's go.